Oh my God, it is such a pleasure. I'm Nina Turner, president of Our Revolution. And this is about our revolution. In the great state of Indiana, this is about the revolution. All across this great country, it's about the revolution. And all over the world, the sleeping giants are awakened. This is about the revolution. So Indiana, this is about you. This is about the generations before you. And this is about the generations after you. And that is why it is so important that we are out here today to vote with the one and only Senator Bernie Sanders. It is such a pleasure to be joining Liz Watson, who's running for the people in this great state. But Indiana, can we have a really frank discussion about where we are, where we were, and where we need to be? Because there is no force on the face of this earth greater than people power determined to make a difference in this world. Not big money, not bigger than the people. But in order for us to get the change that we want to see, not only in this state, but in this country, it is going to take, in the words of my grandmother, Lottie Dottie and everybody. So whether you are black or white or brown or yellow or red or somewhere in between, it is going to take people power to shake this up. And just as some of the folks who are elected to office have lost their way and forgotten that the power that they hold belongs to the people. And ultimately, at all times, they will have to answer to the people. But sisters and brothers, we can't fall asleep. In a democracy, we must be on, up and popping, hashtag show enough woke at all times. And so, Indiana, we're going to show them how awakened we are by making sure that we get out to vote, because the greatest equalizer that we have is one woman, one man, one vote. It is the place where we are equal. Now, Indiana, I heard a rumor that I don't want to believe is true, but I heard you guys rank 50th when it comes to voting. So we got to change that, and that change starts today. Now, I just want to tell you that only all that we love is on the line. That's all. And that might not seem heavy to you, but it's just all that we love is on the line. So whether it's about jobs are on the line, whether it's about making college affordable is on the line, clean drinking water is on the line, the environment is on the line. Women having access to their bodies is on the line. Only all that we love is on the line. So I want to close with the immortal words of the wonderful, phenomenal, fierce Harriet Tubman. And she said these words: if you hear the dogs barking, keep going. If you see the torches in the woods, keep going. If there is shouting after you, keep going. If you want a taste of freedom, never stop, keep going. Indiana, in the 21st century, we must keep going. If you want jobs for all, we must keep going. If you want women to be able to control access to their own body, we must keep going. If you want clean water, we must keep going. Clean food, we must. Making sure that we have Medicare for all, we must. And if you want to make sure that we elect folks who actually give a shit about the people who they serve, we must. We must. We must.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to see all of you today standing together in solidarity and combined strength to support amazing figures who will bring out the best in our country and create the future we deserve. My name is Trisha Chakraborty. I'm a sophomore at Indiana University studying biochemistry and political science. I support Liz Watson, and I am incredibly motivated to volunteer for her. Her efforts and hard work embody everything I believe in and everything that I am. I am a first-generation college student who comes from a low-income minority family. My father, mother, sister, and brother immigrated from Bangladesh to the United States in the early 1990s through the Diversity Visa Lottery Program, an opportunity that granted a couple thousand immigrant families to come over to the United States every few years. In the country of hopes and dreams, my family struck a deal with ambition. They toiled through different mediums of labor and housing to improve their lives and establish financial security. This financial prosperity and social stability, guarantees of improved lives, were never completely achieved by my parents. Despite their hard work and determination, their lack of higher education, resources, connections, and communication skills inhibited their chances in moving forward in American society. Their opportunities were restricted, and their skill sets were underappreciated. My parents worked tirelessly to eliminate our hardships. They also fostered an environment for my siblings and me to have the ability to cultivate our dreams. All my life, and even now, I see and feel my family's struggles to overcome displacement. It was not their obstacles that encouraged me to work hard to achieve my goals. Ultimately, it was their courage and perseverance. It is their courage and perseverance that allows me to stand here today and contribute to the Liz Watson campaign and the momentum it has to change everything. My family has struggled and continues to struggle with issues and injustices, such as the American healthcare system. Liz is determined to address this and other injustices. Having seen these hardships and the zealous determination that Liz has to solve them, I can confidently say that she is the ideal person to tackle these problems. She will advocate for the people of Indiana. She will represent us in Washington, D.C. I look up to Liz. I admire her strength and resilience. I admire everything that she stands for, and most importantly, I see the future in her. In the past year, I have worked with a dynamic group of students and volunteers who have shown up for Liz and supported her. Because we know that supporting Liz means taking a stand against the injustice that persists through our democracy. We have seen the unfortunate results of a lack of involvement in our country. We experience what happens when we do not stand up for what we believe in. We have seen a disinvestment in our future, apathy towards the failures of our public education at all levels, including higher education, and inadequate measures taken for our safety and overall well-being. We are all expected to go into the world and condone pay discrimination, condone sexual harassment, and dismiss accessibility to medical care and advancement of women's rights. I believe and know that we deserve better than that. Liz is continuously doing everything she can to make this nation one that I am proud of. She is helping make this nation a reality, here in the 9th District and across the country. I'm so excited and proud to be a part of this ongoing movement. That being said, it is amazing how there are so many influential and prominent figures in politics who are actively contributing their time and effort to support Liz and create the democracy that we need. Most notably among these figures is a national paragon of reform, a politician who has dedicated his life to helping those in need in this country. He has started a progressive movement across America. He is a politician who tenaciously fights for revolutionary structural changes to reform the economy and directly help the common people. He has worked all his life to reinforce the foundations of a democratic society by establishing equal opportunity to work, redistribution of wealth, and an educated public. I am so proud and honored to bring to the stage Senator Bernie Sanders.
Thank you. case you haven't noticed, there are a lot of people here today. And we are here for the very important purpose of electing Liz Watson as the next congressperson from this district. Come on up here. So I want you to meet your next congressperson. Let me kind of cut to the chase. And that is that we are living in an unprecedented and pivotal moment in American history. And you right here in Indiana, in the 9th district, can in fact play a monumental role in the future of this country. Now, what my Republican colleagues want is for people not to vote. They were delighted that in 2014, 4 years ago, the last midterm election we had, in America, we had the lowest voter turnout since World War II. And they were ever so happy because working people didn't come out and vote, young people didn't come out to vote, and billionaires like the Koch brothers were able to buy the election. Well, this is 2018, and things are going to change. 2014, almost 2 out of 3 Americans didn't vote. And guess what? In my state of Vermont, voter turnout was lowest in 70 years. In Indiana, the voter turnout was 28%, the lowest in the country. Well, Indiana, let's change that. I have zero doubt that if instead of 28% of the people voting in Indiana, 50%, that's not a heavy lift, 50% of the people come out and vote, this is your next congressperson. So I don't know how many thousands of people we have here today. It's a wonderful turnout, and I thank you all for being here. And I know that each and every one of you is going to be voting for Liz. But if we have 2,000 or 3,000 people here, if each and every one of you goes out and brings out 2 other friends or family members, that 2,000 votes for Liz can become 6,000 votes for Liz. And that's what you got to do. And when people tell you, and I've heard this for such a long time, well, I'm not going to vote, my vote doesn't matter, all politicians are crooked. You tell them that you're sick and tired of hearing them moan and groan about what's going on. You tell them that brave people throughout our history have fought and died to defend American democracy. And that we are not going to turn our backs on those heroes and heroines, and that the essence of democracy is citizen participation. It is voting. So you tell your friends who don't want to vote or are thinking of not voting, tell them that if they are happy with a $7.25 minimum wage, if they think that's a great idea, tell them that you think that if somebody works 40 hours a week, that person should not live in poverty, which is why Liz and I are going to raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour. And tell them that if they think it's okay for women to make 80 cents on the dollar compared to men, you tell them, stop complaining, come out and vote equal pay for equal work. And if they moan and groan about the high cost of education and the fact that they're going to leave school $30,000, $50,000 in debt, you tell them they damn well better come out and vote. Because Liz and I are going to fight to make public colleges and universities tuition-free. And for the millions of people who are struggling with outrageous levels of student debt, we say, no, we're not going to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1%, which is what Trump and Liz's opponent like. We're going to use that money to lower student debt. We're going to use that money to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure with well-paid union labor. And you tell your friends who say, nah, I'm not going to vote, doesn't matter. You tell them that they may want to rethink that when they get sick and end up in the hospital and have a bill of $50,000 that they can't pay. You tell them that you are embarrassed, as Liz is and I am, that we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a right. And that is why, if I have anything to say about it, we are going to pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. We are going to end the absurdity of being a nation in which we spend twice as much per person on health care as any other country, and yet we have 30 million people uninsured and many of you underinsured with high deductibles and high copayments. Brothers and sisters, health care is a right, not a privilege. And we are going to stop the pharmaceutical industry from ripping us off. We're going to stop the drug companies and the insurance companies from ripping us off. And we are going to lower the cost of health care for the American people and for the business community through a Medicare for All program. Now, I know that when Trump came to Indiana, he promised the people here in Indiana and all over this country that he was a different type of Republican. He was not going to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Well, I know you will all be shocked to learn. I know. He lied. I know. Hard to believe that he lied. And I want everybody here in Indiana to understand that in the last budget he brought before Congress, he proposed a $1 trillion cut over 10 years to Medicaid. That would devastate not only health insurance for low-income and working people, it would make it impossible for working-class families to take care of their parents who are now in nursing homes. He tells us he's a great defender of Medicare. Liar. His budget called for a $500 billion cut to Medicare and a $72 billion cut to the Social Security Disability Fund. And by the way, when he's busy giving tax breaks to the wealthiest people in this country and the largest corporations, this cowardly president is proposing massive cuts in nutrition programs for pregnant women and for the children of this country. Now, Trump, he's a very, very tough guy. He's very, very strong guy when he tears little children at the border from the arms of their mothers. What a tough guy. But he ain't such a tough guy when he has to deal with Putin. Putin tells him that Russia didn't interfere in the election. Yes, Mr. Putin, I believe you. He is not such a tough guy when he has to deal with his billionaire friends in Saudi Arabia who just tortured and murdered a courageous journalist. Not such a tough guy on that one. Now, I could go on and on about his disastrous policies of tax breaks for the rich, of trying to throw 32 million people off of the health insurance that they have after he promised to provide health care to everybody. But there is another issue out there that, to me, is even more significant about this president and the Republican leadership. I don't have to tell anybody here today that our country, since its inception, since settlers came here, have treated minorities in a shameful manner. Going back to what we did to the Native American people. For hundreds of years, what we have seen are brave and courageous people standing up and saying, no, we are going to oppose slavery and discrimination. We are not going to allow women to be seen as second-class citizens. We are not going to be prejudiced against people in the gay community. We are not going to be religious bigots. And for hundreds of years, we struggled as a nation to try to end racism and sexism and homophobia and religious bigotry. For hundreds of years, women struggled so that they will not be second-class citizens, not be mocked, not be discriminated against, not be able to get the jobs they wanted. That has been the struggle of American democracy. And for years and years, we have been winning that struggle, becoming a less discriminatory society. And today we say to Donald Trump and his friends, we are not going backwards, we are going forwards. So, brothers and sisters, Trump and his billionaire friends want you to sit it out. They want you not to vote. And what I believe is that in this great country of ours, in the United States of America, we are not going to have more income and wealth inequality than any other country. That in this great country of ours, we are not going to tolerate discrimination. That in this great country, we're not going to be the only nation on earth, major nation, not to guarantee health care to all people. This is a great nation, and we are proud of this nation. And that is why on November 6th, we're going to come together and elect Liz Watson as the next congressperson. Thank you all. Okay, kid. All yours.
Thank you, Bernie. My friends, how excited are we to have Senator Bernie Sanders here with us today? It is such a great honor that Senator Sanders has decided to come here to join us. He is here today because he knows what we know. The election in just a couple of short weeks on November 6th is the most important election of our lifetime. And what we do between now and November 6th really, really matters. It will make a difference to our future and to our world. And that's what's on the line here, my friends. The eyes of the country are on us here today. Tens of millions of young people who can't yet vote, who are afraid for our country, are watching and waiting for us to do the right thing for the America that we know and love. Let's do it for them, and let's do it for all of us. My friends, this is not a dress rehearsal. This is the real deal. Now is our time. This is our chance. Today, we are going to make history together. We're here today because we still believe in a country where we don't leave our friends and our family and our neighbors behind. We all deserve a fighting chance to get better when we get sick. We all have the right to get together with our coworkers to bargain for our fair share. We all ought to be able to go to school and get an education and build a better life without spending decades buried under a mountain of debt. And we all deserve to have a safe and financially secure and dignified retirement. My friends, we are here today because we have each other's backs. We have each other's backs. What an idea. That's an idea that's as American as apple pie. But our leaders in Washington, they don't get that idea. They just don't get it. You know why they don't get it? It's because they represent rich and powerful special interests who make millions off of ripping off our workers, ripping off the sick, and loan sharking our students. They want us to fight with each other. They want us to fear each other. And they want us to blame each other for the problems that they're creating in Washington. They're giving trillions in tax cuts to the rich, robbing us of our future, of the future we earned. All of this stops on November 6th, my friends. because we have each other's backs. When we look out for each other, we are all better off. I believe that so deeply because you see, my family has benefited from some of the best things our Congress has ever achieved. See, my dad's dad died when my dad was very young. Hi, Dad. My dad's here with us today. Dad, do you want to come over toward the stage? All right. Thanks, Dad. It was Social Security survivors benefits and a whole lot of hard work as an office manager that meant my grandmother could put food on the table for my dad and his 2 little brothers. Social Security survivors benefits. Because you can bet that wage gap meant her job as an office manager didn't pay a lot then, and it doesn't pay a lot now. When my dad went to college, there wasn't money in the family to pay for it. He went to college right here at IU Bloomington. The first in his family to do it. And he went after serving in the Navy, and he went on the GI Bill. And it was that federal investment in our family that catapulted us into the middle class in a single generation. And when Dad got sick last year, and he is doing wonderfully well, Medicare paid for the treatment to make sure that he could get better. And that promise saved us from medical bills that could have bankrupted everything that my mom and dad had worked for their whole lives. And I want that for every single family. I want that when your mom or dad gets sick, when your brother or sister gets sick. I want them to have a fighting chance to get better, and I don't want you to be one illness away from financial ruin. And that is why I support Medicare for all. This is what happens when we keep our promises, when we don't give up on each other. Families like mine get a future. Families like yours. And my kids get to grow up with their granddad, who is the very best babysitter on my campaign. So I call in that favor a little too often. Sorry about that, Dad, but thank you for putting up with it. But folks, these things didn't just happen on their own. They didn't just happen. These essential investments for hardworking families, these are things that we fought for. You don't have a shot at the American dream if you don't have health care, if you don't have education, if you don't have a secure retirement. We have these things because of generations of courageous, hardworking men and women and dedicated people who dreamed them, struggled for them, voted for them, and won them for all of us. Men and women worked and rallied and voted because they would not give up on this country's promise, a place where we look out for each other and where we don't leave people who are sick to die on their own. And I'll tell you what, every step of the way, every single step, there were people who said, you know what? Things are fine just the way they are. Changing things, they said, too risky, too expensive, too radical. Some of us just have to starve so the rest of us can eat. Nothing could be farther from the truth, my friends. There have always been corporate special interests who tell us there's not enough to go around, who take more and more and more from us while warning that some of us just always have to be left behind. They want you to think that if you're falling behind, if you're sick and you can't pay the bills, it's your own damn fault. That's what they want you to think. They say you're on your own. I say no. I say we're all in this together and we are better than this. Our current representative, Trey Hollingsworth of Tennessee, claims he represents our Hoosier values when he votes to give himself a $4.5 million tax cut at our expense, the single largest tax cut to any member of the House of Representatives. He voted to do this at the expense of Hoosier schools, Hoosier hospitals, and Hoosier veterans. He doesn't work for us. He works only for himself and his wealthy special interest donors. Trey Hollingsworth of Tennessee is a part of a corrupt Congress that blew a $1.9 trillion hole in the federal budget, and they want to make it worse. Do you know why they were okay with that kind of math? That's right. The same leaders who've spent decades telling America they know best how to manage our money, our taxpayer dollars, they were okay with it because they knew all along how they were going to pay for it. They were going to pay for it by coming for our Medicare and our Social Security. I'm not going to let them do that. Are you going to let them do that? They were okay with it because they know exactly who they're hurting. Regular people. Not the special interests, not their top campaign donors, just hardworking Americans, just you and me. It's still the same old lies out of Washington, backed up with millions in corporate cash and super PAC ads and dark money contributions, telling us that the price of their prosperity, is our future, and that we have no choice but to pay it. Well, I don't buy it. You don't buy it, and our state is done buying it. Our country is done buying it. We are here together today, unafraid, because we believe in an America in which no one is left behind. And the truth is that even now, with the eyes of history upon us, there is nothing in this world that is more powerful than people. People who still believe that we can build a better life for each other, for our families, for our future. People who will never be bought by corporate cash. People who will not be deceived by lies and slanders and fear-mongering. People who show up, people who keep their promises, people who know that even now there is enough to go around. People who won't leave anyone to get sick and die. People like you and me and Senator Bernie Sanders. People like Nina Turner and the good folks behind our revolution who are crisscrossing this country. To get great candidates elected, working tirelessly. Friends, this is our time. This is our time to show Trey Hollingsworth and the corrupt Congress in Washington that there are some things that money can't buy. Not this time, not in Indiana. This is our time to stand up for ourselves, for our friends, and for our home, and for everyone who lives here. No exceptions, none. This is our time to fight for a future where no one faces a lifetime of debt just because they want a college education. No one goes bankrupt just because they got sick and wanted to get better. This is our time to stand up for our labor unions who built Southern Indiana and who built our middle class. And I'll tell you something else. This is our time to vote like our lives depend on it. Because they do. They do. Now is the time to knock doors and make phone calls and make some noise. Because history will not forgive us if we drop the ball at this critical moment in time. Not with the stakes so high. Now is the time for us to do that same old shoe leather work that generations before us have done to make life that much safer and kinder and freer for everyone who will come after us. History is waiting to be made, my friends. We know the kind of future we want. We know that now, for the first time in so many years, it is finally within reach. And we know that unless every vote and voice comes through, it will all slip away. We are going to have some of the closest elections in history this year. Right now, right here in Indiana 9, this election could easily come down to just a few votes. The fate of hundreds of thousands of Hoosiers, of millions of Americans, of people who have always looked to our country as a beacon of hope, of freedom, of justice, hangs in the balance in November. I am so honored to be here with you today. Every single person standing here in Dunn Meadow can do their part. And in this moment, your vote, your voice is worth more than all of the money flooding Washington. So Indiana, this is the election of our lives. It depends on you. Are you ready to fight for our future? Do we need a change in Washington, D.C.? Are you going to vote with Bernie today? Let's get to work. Let's take our place in history. Let's vote. Thank you.
Y'all give it up for Liz Watson! Y'all give it up for Bernie Sanders! Y'all give it up for the Midwest Chocolate Thunder, Nina Turner! Yo, I'm Indiana's own Dana Black. All right, now it's time to go vote. It's time to go vote. We got rules to this, but before we do that, y'all know I'm a social media hound. Can I take a selfie with y'all? Can I get a selfie? All right, wait. Hold on, y'all. Wait a minute. Okay. Y'all know Indiana's own is a selfie queen. Y'all know that. All right, we got rules to this, all right? I got to read this. Y'all behave. We have volunteers.